Its energy surrounds us and binds us.
What is up, nerds, and welcome back to the Carbonite Convos Podcast. Today is episode 58, and if this is your first time joining us, you've just taken your first step into a larger world. And if this is not your first time on Carbonite Convos, we can't thank you enough for coming back once again. I'm your host, Funko Stud, joined by Alec, aka Wallcrawler Pops, as always. And a special guest today, we have Fred from Fred The Jedi YouTube channel. You can find him everywhere: Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, everywhere. Just so make sure to check them out. But Fred, man, we really appreciate you hopping on again.
I appreciate being back here. It's been a long time. It's been a really long time.
It's been a while.
You've been through a rebrand since we saw you last on the channel. Yeah. Used to be Death Star Dispatch, and now we have Fred the Jedi. So we're ready to rock and roll. We have a lot for you guys tonight. We're going to talk about Spider-Man No Way Home, like always, and
every time.
I assume we're going to talk about some Book of Boba Fett, because we got 3 Star Wars nerds here that live and breathe a galaxy far, far away. So how do you guys want to start this? Does anybody have any thoughts about No Way Home that we want to get out there?
So
go ahead, Alec.
Yeah. So I saw it again yesterday. So we obviously have to see it in theaters multiple times, because seeing it outside of theaters, it's always great, but you know, it's not the same experience. And I got to say, man, I still managed to get emotional, even knowing exactly what's going to happen before it happens. Like in the scene where May dies, dude, the second time through, I lost it again. Just hearing the words, "With great power comes great responsibility," come out of her mouth, to me, like, those words mean a lot. Just, you know, the nostalgia behind it, what it means to represent Spider-Man, what it means to, you know, shed from your worries and your problems and become, you know, a hero doing the greater good, that sort of thing. It just gets to me, you know.
That was poetic. I cried the second time I watched through. I cried even, I'd say, a little more than the first time, because it's almost like you know what's going to happen. You know you're going to cry, so you just prepare for it, and then you just let the gates flood.
Yeah, we said it. We said it in our initial breakdown. Like, we've been hearing these rumors and, you know, things for over a year, like, oh, leaked pictures and theories and leaked news. And we're like, okay, well, what's real? Like, this seems so unrealistic. This seems like it could be true. I don't know what's what. And for us to wait for this movie to come out, and then a good majority of those leaks and everything were accurate, I just find it incredible to compare other shows like Mando season 2, how they were able to keep Luke under wraps, how anything going forward is able to be, you know, not leaked to the general public before it comes out. It's going to be weird that this is going to become the new norm. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's really weird too. And I feel like, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I feel like the first leak I saw of Toby or Andrew, there was a leaked toy of Toby Spider-Man with the No Way Home logo. And I remember specifically the people that made Mando were saying that they made sure that no toys were made of Grogu when he was first introduced, because they did not want that getting out. And one of the biggest ways that huge leaks like this get out are from merchandise and toys. So I feel like that might have been the culprit as to why the snowball effect started.
Oh,
so
100%.
Now, you know, the information starts to get out there. Toby's going to be in the movie. Andrew's going to be in the movie. And next thing you know, it's just
spiraling out of control.
It's crazy. Like,
there were just too many coincidences. Like,
yeah, there was a lot, right?
Like, going in, I was still, you know, I was expecting to see them, but there was still that 1% in me that was preparing myself for them not to be in it, because, you know, we, like you guys mentioned, we never had a confirmation. There was never, no trailers for with them in it, nothing saying like these guys are in it, nothing on you know, you Google the cast list, nothing like that. But there were so many coincidences, like the Andrew green screen video, the toys, like you mentioned, the lizard kick in the
things
in
that
the trailer.
seem so authentic. There's no way those could be fake. Like,
exactly.
It's interesting that
Exactly.
you say that, like going into the movie, like going into the theater, like there's a chance that they're not going to be in the movie. It's so funny that they made such an emphasis on what MJ was saying, expect disappointment and you'll never be disappointed.
I never thought of that.
I had that exact feeling going in. I'm like, okay, I'm fully prepared for them to not be in this movie. That way I can still enjoy this and like, be happy and not want to jump off a building because they're not in the damn movie. I don't know if that just was ironic or just happened to be, a thing, but I thought it was too fitting for the situation.
I thought it was extremely clever. Like,
Yeah.
because that is kind of the theme. And I remember posting on Twitter. So, just for some context, in my head, I was already fully prepared for them not to be in the film. And as much as I want them to be in the film, and obviously I'm so happy they were, and I think it made the best story, I would have been perfectly okay if they weren't. Because A, doesn't mean they never will be. The multiverse is shattering on multiple levels. It's not just what happened in No Way Home.
No.
So their appearances are still possible in the future, even now.
Oh,
Even
100%.
after Doctor Strange, right? Which maybe we'll talk about that in a little bit. But I was fully okay with them not being in the movie. And I remember posting on Twitter, how much you want to bet people are basically going to say this movie sucks and it's the worst movie ever if they're not in the movie.
I figured people would riot if they weren't in it.
Oh, 100%.
I feel like they would have, but I don't necessarily understand that, because if it was still a kick-ass Spider-Man movie that told the proper story, think about it, Peter really grew up in this movie. Like,
oh yeah,
this was the biggest leap we've seen, at least this rendition of Spidey takes. So
we talked exactly about that, 2 weeks ago. Like, he did not become Spider-Man until May died. Like,
yeah.
he could call himself whatever he wants. He became Spider-Man when May died. Like that, in that moment.
Yeah,
But,
he was Tony Stark Jr. He was Iron Boy,
Right.
Yeah.
That sent him into I'm Spider-Man, which, look, if Toby and Andrew weren't in the movie and they were still able to, portray Spidey in that way and give him that much progression, make him grow up that much, I think the movie still would have been just as good. But we don't have to worry about that.
We don't have to worry about that.
They were in the movie, and even now, I'm a little bit older than both of you, but I'm sure we both first grew up with Toby, then
Yeah.
Andrew.
We have that same experience for sure.
Right. And like, I remember going to see it when I was a kid. Like, I don't think it was opening weekend, but it was like opening month, and it was crazy. And I lived in New York at the time, so it was bananas. So seeing that was great, and it brought back so many memories. And to have all of that come back just for this one movie
in just a few small moments, it's wild.
Incredible.
It's wild what they represent. While we're talking about the three of them, I just have to give, shout outs to Andrew specifically. He absolutely crushed it, dude. Like, my girlfriend and I talking briefly after the movie, seeing it again yesterday, we're like, dude, we loved Andrew. Like, he stole the show. Yes, Toby was great. Yes, obviously Tom was fantastic, but specifically what Andrew's character was doing, I loved seeing the dialogue between the three of them, because it's themselves talking to themselves. So they would answer the question. They would ask a question and then answer that question exactly how the other person would answer it. So it became like a snowball effect, how we've been talking about, the quips and the jokes and like the, how they would get into each other. I just loved it, man. And I specifically thought that Andrew's, comedic side of that stole the show.
I think that was kind of the point.
It was the point. I really think that he's gonna get rejuvenated, man. I think his career, as I said it the other way after seeing the movie, that we're not gonna see him again. But dude, after what people are saying about them, Marvel and Sony are not. They are very smart. Like, they are obviously not gonna let an opportunity like that go, where they have literally created the formula of how to print money is put these people on a screen. They're gonna keep doing it.
Yeah, man. I have a couple points here. Number one, completely agree. Andrew stole the show.
Stole it.
For me, he was the performance that I enjoyed the most. Like you said, Toby was great. Tom was phenomenal. Andrew, I thought it was one of the best performances of his career. And I think it was the best performance of the film. Maybe not as much as Willem Dafoe, but anyway.
Not wrong.
Andrew Spidey is also the one that broke me. I held it together when May died. I held it together when Andrew came through, when Toby came through. I held it together. Andrew saves MJ, and I lost it. Completely broke.
Redeemed himself.
And then I saw it again, and it broke me harder. And it's that was just no words. Incredible.
Yeah.
And I also agree. I don't think we've seen the last of Andrew Spidey. I don't think they're going to see the positive reception that is literally everywhere they look and say, no, we're good.
No,
Exactly.
Not going to make it. There's no way. So Sony is smarter than me. I'm sure they are. If I think it's a no-brainer, I'm pretty sure they know, you know?
What would you say? What do you think the chances of us getting them in a Secret Wars type movie or show is that a possibility? Like, do you think more people might be involved? What's your take on it?
I have a different theory.
Let's hear it.
I don't know if they're. I'm not sure about the Secret Wars thing yet. I need more, but my theory, which by the way, you guys know I'm a Star Wars channel, but I actually covered this. I branched out. I did a Marvel video, guys.
There we go.
But I did touch on this briefly. I believe they are setting up Andrew's Spidey versus Tom Hardy's Venom for Andrew's and Tom's final movie, because Venom 3 is also the next on his trilogy, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Why not take Spider-Man 3, which was never made, scrap the whole idea that you had, take a new Spider-Man 3, take your Venom 3, put them together, Freddy versus Jason style, but a lot better. You know, give them both story. And honestly, they can make it a 3-hour movie, 3.5-hour movie.
Everybody would watch.
You know, spend maybe an hour catching up a little bit more with Andrew, seeing what he's been up to now that it's been about 10 years, right? And then spend maybe an hour on Eddie Brock, see what he's up to. Because, you know, with Venom 2, their relationship between Eddie and Venom was a little rocky for a while. I think that makes Venom primed to somewhat take over some control over Eddie.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I
up
think
to this point,
It's interesting that you say that, because I actually haven't heard that, but I like that take. And my immediate thoughts after hearing that: one, we're obviously not done seeing symbiotes in the Sony Marvel universe, whichever one it wants to be. Okay. We're definitely not done seeing them. Eddie Brock's story can only go so far. That he's only so much of an interesting character. He's a reporter. He used to work with Spider-Man. There's not a whole lot to him.
We haven't seen him work with Spidey yet, though.
We haven't, but like over like, you know, the comic storyline and everything, like Eddie and Peter, they just don't get along. They don't care for each other. So like, there's only so much he can do. There's obviously like a Flash Thompson who becomes like an Agent Venom who goes and works for the government. There's also we also need to see the Black Suit in some capacity within that universe. And there was a huge hint at it in No Way Home that Andrew said, "Oh, I want to fight an alien. Like, you know, I've never fought an alien." No, so like I think that definitely is a possibility. I actually like that take a lot. I'd like to see that.
100%.
yeah.
And I think with this whole, whatever they're calling it now, Sony's universe of Spider-Man characters or
It's something
whatever
like
it is,
something weird. Yeah.
Yeah. The only thing is if they're making an MCU style universe, there has to be just some big bad. Not that it's going to be Venom in any capacity, but there has to be some big bad, and there have to be several movies leading to that point, you know? And I feel like we've already gotten 5 Spider-Man movies, 2 Venom movies. I saw something today where I think his name is Null. He's like the symbiote.
He's like the king of the symbiotes.
The symbiote god. It was mentioned that he could be the big bad of Sony's universe. I personally don't think Andrew just has one movie left in him. I think they could easily, he's a young looking guy still. I still think that they could show something before he came over in No Way Home. They could still show what happened in between there a little possibly. And they can go, he's kind of redeemed himself both in the the reality that we watch and the reality that we live in, because the world has finally accepted Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man after it's been long
years
overdue.
of backlash.
And exactly. And he's forgiven himself and he can become his true Spider-Man again. So I feel like like you mentioned, Alec, it's all about money, and they can still make so much money with Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man.
I like the point you made about, catching up on what what Andrew's been going on since TASM 2 and where we've seen him in No Way Home. There's obviously a lot to cover because he says, I stopped pulling my punches and, got into that realm. So there's obviously a lot of bad things that he did within that time span. But I'm honestly genuinely confused what the future of each respective universe is going to be, because at this point, there's a pretty good, a very high chance that Andrew's going to come back and be like the Sony Spider-Man. But the second Tom trilogy isn't going to be within the MCU. So I'm confused. No, it's not. It's not I have to reread it then, because it's basically what it was saying is it's not going to add anything into the MCU going forward.
Well, maybe not.
That's why I'm super confused on the topic, because they've made it known that the Sony universe is not going to affect the MCU, but the MCU will affect the Sony universe and will continue along those lines. Well, but how Tom is going to affect either universe, I'm confused, and I really don't know the direction it's going to go.
Well, that's the thing, is that, now the Raimi trilogy and the TASM, those are MCU movies to me now.
Right.
When we got No Way Home, we got 6 movies that were added to the MCU. So those happened in some branch of the timeline in the MCU. So anything that happens from here forward with Sony and Marvel, I'm kind of taking as Sony is just a branch, a branch time. It's just a different universe, because it seems like Sony and Marvel have gotten over their feud. Clearly, if they were able to produce this movie, and Kevin Feige has been able to work with Sony pretty closely. So I would assume that moving forward, Feige would be working with Sony on anything Spider-Man, just to help make sure the story is told the right way, because that's kind of what I fear if Marvel Studios wasn't involved at all, is that we could have
its own independent thing at this point.
That too, but we could have movies flop and not be accepted. The hardcore fans, we all liked Spider-Man. We all liked I liked Spider-Man 3, but the typical crowd didn't like The Amazing Spider-Man. They didn't like Spider-Man 3. They're not the biggest fans of Venom and Venom 2. So I think to move forward, Marvel Studios kind of has to be involved specifically when it involves Tom Holland.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe it won't add a ton to the MCU, but in the same way, you're getting another MCU movie. It just you won't see Doctor Strange and Wanda, and Spider-Man won't be fighting Avenger battles anymore. He'll be he'll be doing his own thing, the Sinister Six, all his own villains, because he's an MCU in himself.
Well, if you think about it though, he can't really mess with the MCU anyway, because nobody knows who he is. Yeah. So these next 3 movies for Tom is going to be focused just on Tom's Peter and about how he overcomes nobody knowing who he is. So he, in theory, cannot directly affect anything yet. Maybe not for the first movie, maybe halfway through the second, or maybe even the beginning of the third is when someone remembers or something happens, whatever the case may be, and things start to go back to normal. That's when he'll fit into the MCU. So maybe as of right now, they're saying, yeah, it's an MCU movie, but it won't affect the MCU because nobody knows who he is. So what's the matter?
Right.
He's not gonna clash with another Thanos. You know what I mean?
Because that's where Alec has made great points about, we won't see MJ a lot. We'll see
Right.
What's her name? Felicity Jones. No, that
Felicia
was
Harding.
Yeah, Felicity was the actor in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, but we'll see Black Cat. We'll see, we'll see Gwen. We'll see his other love interests and just see how he becomes Spider-Man now, how he just fits into that role.
It was interesting, like, to see like potential love interest. What's her name? Betsy Abrams. Is that her name? Yeah.
That's her name?
I think so. Betsy.
I thought it was Betty.
Something like that. It's
know.
Betty.
Yeah, we know who you're talking about.
Anyways, whatever. She said, "Go get him, Tiger."
Go get him, yeah.
Like MJ would typically say. In the comics, they do date for, like, they have a brief little, like, love affair type thing. So
even in the Raimi trilogy, they do.
Yeah.
Like, they have a little
so
flirt.
there's a good little chance that we might see that as well.
Ned
With
would
her
kill
like
him.
taking over the Daily Bugle's TikTok, and like with her working at the Daily Bugle, I genuinely think we're going to see Peter working at the Daily Bugle. I think that could be a thing.
Okay, so what if? So ponder the question, what if? So we've seen Ned and Betty have a love interest already, and it's very heavily believed that Ned will
know where you're
become
going with this.
Hobgoblin. What if Peter has a love interest with Betty? Ned doesn't know they're friends. Ned, for some reason, kickstarts some feelings for Betty again, and that's what starts that feud between Ned and Peter. I don't know if that's ever happened in the comics or how accurate that could be, but I don't know.
I like that take a lot, actually.
I need to write some of these down, man, because I cannot forget these.
Hey, just rewatch the recording. You're good.
Yeah, there you go.
Fred, what were you gonna say a while back? The epiphany you had.
Yeah, I had this. Okay, so you were talking about how there needs to be a big bad. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, dude, my brain just about exploded when you said that with information. So this might not be every comic book fan's take, but this is mine. When I think of big bad, I think of someone Thanos level, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Someone who is just so driven by their own madness, someone who's so much more powerful than everyone around them, kick-ass abilities, the whole nine, right? To me, there's only one that matches up with the Thanos level.
He's making us wait.
Doctor Doom. To me,
he could be a. Who has the rights to him?
Fox, but now Disney.
Bingo. So Disney owns Marvel, works hand in hand with Sony. They could do something. They could work something out, right? Okay, you're letting us borrow Tom. We'll let you borrow Doctor Doom in the Fantastic Four. Or it could be an MCU thing. All I know is you said big bad. And to me, Doctor Doom is a top 3 comic book villain of all time.
100%.
Yeah.
And
he might be number 1, to be completely honest.
I'm saying top 3 to be generous to those that don't appreciate him.
I personally genuinely hope, and I think it's very unlikely that it happens, is for Spidey to work somehow with the Fantastic Four in the future at some point. Maybe that's how it could get tied in. I don't see that ever happening, unfortunately, but I would love like some future Foundation, Fantastic Four type of situation.
Yeah, I would love to see the Fantastic Four come back. I mean, let's be honest, like the movies, the first 2 movies, like I'm not counting the one with Michael B. Jordan because like I'm just not.
Booty.
I'm just not.
Gosh. Alec, have you watched it?
Yes.
Oh
it's a real unfortunate.
Yeah.
It's a real unfortunate film. It's unfortunate.
That's the Galactus one, right?
No, it was.
No, which one's the one with Michael B. Jordan? Who's the villain in that one?
Dr. Doom.
Hold on, I'm just gonna make sure. Let me get my facts right here because I haven't seen it since it came out, and I've tried to.
Which one's the one with
memory?
There's Silver Surfer.
Surfer is the second one.
That's the second one.
Yeah. So we're talking. There's 3 Fantastic Four movies,
right?
But there's 2.
There's 2, and then there's the
2
reboot
that are together, and then there's a third, but it's
Yep.
The reboot is another Doctor Doom.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah. So the first one, it's Doctor Doom. The second one, Silver Surfer. I think Silver Surfer is also a kick-ass character.
Yeah.
So, and I'm going to be honest here, at least with myself. The first 2 Fantastic Four movies, were they fantastic? No, but I think they were
Watchable.
Yeah, they're watchable. Like, I think they're all right. I don't think they're the worst movies ever made. And maybe that's some childhood nostalgia kicking me because that was around the same time with the Raimi trilogy and all that stuff. So you're that's when we were all fresh on comic book movies and you're getting like, X-Men and the Raimi trilogy and all that stuff. So aside from that, though, I thought they casted their roles pretty well. I don't think they delivered on the plot. And obviously technology back then was very limited compared to now. Right. So if they could, and I know Marvel can do another good job casting a new Fantastic Four.
Well, we have Fantastic Four coming. Like it's
definitely.
It's been confirmed that we're getting that. I think it's 2024. Mm-hmm. So it's on the way. It's just how is it going to link in with the MCU? And that's
going to be the end of Phase 4.
Really? Phase 4 is that makes sense.
The end of Phase 4. Fantastic Four is going to be the end of Phase 4.
That's confirmed.
And if you think about it, that makes a lot of sense though, because like right now, who's going to be the big bad? Is it going to be
right now? Kang? It's set up to be Kang.
Right.
Yeah.
We think we're guessing.
If it's Kang, after Kang, you have to set up for someone else. That would be perfect for Doctor Doom to come in, because I mean, you have to have like these big, multi-dimensional level threats.
Oh, you got to set them up way beforehand. Build it up. Like
we've had Thanos since 2012, and it wasn't until 2018 when he really showed us what he was. Right. So you got to think if we start getting introduced to. So we're getting Kang in 2020.
We got him in 2020.
Was it 20?
Well, we got He Who Remains Kang in 2020.
2020. Oh yeah, no, 2021.
What? No, we got him for the first time in
2021
in Loki. Oh my God, it's 2022.
I know, right?
Holy shit!
We get Kang in 2021. Maybe we see him, full on Thanos level big fight 2025, 26, because I doubt it'll take 10 years again. But if you have Dr. Doom introduced 2024, maybe that's when you spread that out. Maybe 2030, 2032, we get. And we're thinking 10 years ahead right now.
At this point, we're not even like, it's not even going to be like Avengers anymore. It's going to be so many separate teams because there's going to be a ton of different characters. You can't have 80 different heroes in one movie. You're going to have
sucks though, doesn't it?
6 to 10 potentially at a time at most.
It could be more. It depends on what they want to link up. Like, obviously they're setting up for a Young Avengers thing too. And, I don't see them connecting with too much from the outside, but back to Dr. Doom, I do think in the 2024 film, maybe his character before his transition to Dr. Doom is introduced in that movie. So it's something light, and maybe we don't see that transition until 2026, 2028, something like that. And by 2030, God, I'm going to be so old by then.
I know.
By 2030, that's when he's really full force.
Isn't it wild that the MCU specifically, Star Wars and everything, well, even all of it, like it is set up to never end, ever.
Because you can always add more characters.
You can always add more characters. There's always more movies to be made. There's always more stories to be told. I don't see this ever coming to an end. Nick and I talked about it back when Loki came out. We're like, back when Loki came out, we're like, okay, well, we just got introduced to who's going to become Kang. When is he going to show up again? Because it's not like he's going to come out in 3 months and then he's going to, do whatever. And then the heroes are going to win, because he's one of the biggest villains out there. That's why we're not going to see a Dr. Doom for a little while, because you have to spread it out, so you don't just waste the character.
Exactly. Because I guess you can say once you use them, you can't use them again, but that's not necessarily true anymore.
It's not true, but like if they brought back another Thanos, I would not be anywhere near as intimidating.
No, I wouldn't want to. No,
they can't. They can't do Thanos 2.0. They can't.
They could do. They've just done Ultron 2.0, and it turned out pretty sweet.
Well, but that was different. We've only seen him once.
We've only seen him once, but also that was completely different because it was
like mega upgrade. Like
right, it was like him with Vision's body. Like it was a whole.
It was that'd be a good meme. the keyboard is like has the upgrade button.
Yeah.
Boom. Yes.
Oh my goodness.
So that's a whole different thing though. And like, I would love to see Ultron coming back. Would have been great. I don't want it now because Tony's gone. I think Tony has to be there for Ultron, that fight. But if Ultron were to come back, I would want it to be kind of further back before Infinity War, which doesn't really line up because
we're way past that now.
We're getting Ultron bots in Doctor Strange. So, and we know that judging by the trailer, we're getting what if characters in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. So we're getting that what was it, Strange Supreme or
Defender Strange?
I thought Defender Strange was the regular one. But like, what was his evil form again?
The one we're getting in Multiverse of Madness. You're talking.
Yes, we're getting him in Multiverse of Madness. The champion of Hydra. It looked like that's who was in the the octopus character. It looks like that character was in
the trailer.
Strange, in the trailer too. So
I don't know what else it could have been.
No, it's already been said that we are getting Ultron bots in the trailer. So it's I know Ultron's didn't he die in the?
Mm-hmm.
How do you?
Yeah. Well, they were all destroyed, but we got hinted at it in Spider-Man: Homecoming because when he got locked in that big warehouse, he pulled out like an Ultron bot head.
Yeah,
and the eyes they're turned on.
But that was like literally Ultron because the rest of them don't look like Ultron. They look like different bots. He literally pulled out Ultron's head, which
it was a bot.
Dude, go look at it, man, because it
really?
Literally was maybe I'm mistaken. We'll look at it after the thing, or maybe it was simply just an Easter egg. But it literally
that's probably what it was
because it couldn't have been Ultron's real head. But
no way
was designed. From what I remember, exactly after Ultron's head.
It could have been something as simple as I think we know Ultron was very smart.
Yeah,
he could have had multiple bodies produced. That was one of them.
True.
And even though Ultron is gone, it doesn't necessarily mean the entirety of his AI is gone.
Right,
There could be little remnants of it left, and maybe the head we saw was a backup, and now these bots are just a small portion of whatever sliver of life remains of his AI and his data doing whatever. I don't even know, man. But this one. I know it's hard to see, but Defender Strange.
Oh, that. Yeah. That was a new, is that leaked or?
Apparently it's official.
Yeah.
So,
which is
I didn't know that.
That's what I've heard. I don't know. Cannot confirm, but
cool.
I've heard that originally I saw it was a leak, but now I'm hearing that it's official. So interesting.
So real quick, going back to No Way Home real fast. I just popped in my head. You asked if there was anything that stood out earlier, and they announced how long Fury had been off planet.
Yes.
They said Fury's been off planet for the last year
and a half. However, he's only been off a year, which I really like. I really like that because I did not like the possibility of it never being Fury throughout the MCU.
Right.
I wasn't a fan of that because I like Fury's character. So I thought that was really interesting. And
that was more like a satisfying, okay, cool. Like
why'd he cut his sandwich and corner to corner?
I don't know. Marvel, come on, y'all, missing these details. Let's go.
So while we're on No Way Home, I got to get to one of my notes that I had. Something I thought was super weird in No Way Home was when they're in the basement. At this point, it is Spidey. Well, it is Peter, MJ, and Ned. It's right when they go in there, so Ned's just in awe, right? They're looking for stuff. They're trying to start. They're just can't remember what they were doing. They were just looking to find these other multiversal beings, and MJ picks up a box of black beard coloring, and this is in Doctor Strange's basement. And I thought that was so weird that she would pick up a box of beard coloring because. It's kind of Doctor Strange's iconic look is a very dark beard, very defined. It's a
little goatee. Yeah,
exactly. It's a very noticeable not iconic. I don't know the word I'm looking for, but
But it's
when
like
you see-
it's like groomed in a very specific way.
yes,
Like
when you see
It's
it,
very sharp.
yes, when you see it, you know it's Doctor Strange, and we saw that at the tail end of the first Doctor Strange movie, and we saw him in Thor Ragnarok very briefly. I can't imagine that he was just randomly coloring his beard for some reason. And if you notice, his beard is much, much darker in this film. At least I thought it was. And it kind of just makes me wonder, is
it the normal Doctor Strange at this
is
point?
he deciding to go with a darker beard, or are we already seeing a different Doctor Strange, which would kind of line up because he's acted so different and just
Dude,
so
at this point, there's
out of
no
character.
telling. There's no telling who's come to the universe, because how many people know that Peter Parker is Spider-Man up to that point? Like, who knows how many people could have got brought in? Doctor
But
Strange.
this was before though, too. This was before the multiverse broke, technically, which we've seen the multiverse break already in Loki. But, this was in the basement of the Sanctum Sanctorum in New York. And so she doesn't pull it out after. She pulls the beard coloring after the whole spell and everything like that. But this Doctor Strange was already there before that, if that makes sense. So it's not like this Doctor Strange came in after the spell and kind of set up shop.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense? So it just makes me wonder. Right when I saw that, I thought it was super weird. And a funny story about the movie is I'm sitting there at first trying to remember like key points in my head, because I don't want to be that douche like writing notes in my phone. So I'm sitting there remembering, like, that was like the fourth one I had so far. And at some point I forgot that one because I remembered MJ in the basement. I was like, shoot, what did she do? What did she do? I knew it was big. And then at about the halfway point, I remembered it, and I just had to write it in my phone. So I pulled it out like really small, as dark as can be. And I have my phone in dark mode on my notes, so it's already black. And I just typed them up like in my side. So it wasn't a bother, but I had to get those notes in. So I don't know. That one just really stuck with me.
I have a really hard time. Like, I've seen so many people say how Doctor Strange is so different and all that stuff. I have a hard time putting all of that together, because to me, it just seemed like Doctor Strange was reverting back to the way he was.
That too.
Like, being a little bit more arrogant.
Yeah.
And so for me, I chalked it up to him just not being the Sorcerer Supreme anymore.
And being bitter.
I was just about to ask,
bitter.
how do you guys feel about Wong being the Sorcerer Supreme?
I like Wong. I think he's great.
I love Wong.
So I think I'm kind of game for it. And I'm very excited to see how Doctor Strange is actually handling it. And if this movie, No Way Home, is any indication of that, not so well. I think
the immediate thing that got brought up in my mind when I heard that was exactly how long after this. Well, actually, 5 years had gone by. So and during the Endgame battle, obviously Wong was the Sorcerer Supreme at that point. But during the WandaVision, Wong had to have been the Sorcerer Supreme. So when Agatha tells Wanda that your power suppress that of even the Sorcerer Supreme, they're obviously talking about Wong. And in the trailer, I don't know if you noticed, for Multiverse of Madness, it looks like Wong is tied up by Wanda's like energy, or whatever you want to call it, her magic. It's like holding him hostage.
I tried to look at that, but I couldn't see it, man. Like, I tried to look.
It's not 100%, obviously, but it was that red kind of big oozy type of look of the aura. You know what I'm talking about?
No, I know
like,
exactly.
Obviously, it's very distinct of her.
Yeah.
I don't know what else it could have been, man.
I don't know. I tried to look, and for some reason, I just couldn't see it.
Dude, there's a good chance something from Evil Strange too.
It could be something from Evil Strange, because he knows everything, dude.
And, I'm wondering when this whole red time stone is going to come into play, because we see it just get cinched and just stick in the Eye of Agamotto. So when is this going to come into play again? Because as we saw in Loki, there are other Infinity Stones out there. And regardless of, they kind of took their power away in the TVA, but they're still insanely powerful in other multiverse.
There's still a zombie Thanos with the whole gauntlet out there somewhere.
Exactly. And, that was a cliffhanger. And I that might be left for Marvel for What If season 2, but it's been heavily rumored that we're getting a Marvel Zombies like project. So you never know what's coming.
It's wild.
One more
so
thing.
Much happening.
Exactly. From the same scene where they're looking around Strange's basement, whatever it's called. I noticed it the first time too, but the second time is where I really thought it was weird. I think it's Ned standing in front of a shelf, and there's this little doll on the shelf. And as Ned walks, I'm getting goosebumps because it's just freaky. Like, I do not like dolls. As Ned's walking away, the doll's head turns and just like the eyes don't move, but it looks like the doll is sitting straight, and then it just turns its head towards the way Ned walks. And dude, I'm covered in goosebumps. It was just weird.
Well, we know he's magic now, which is wild to me that they made Ned freaking. He's gonna be something in some capacity. I don't know if he's gonna be a hobgoblin or not at this point. I don't know how he wouldn't be him.
It could be another Ned though too.
It could be another Ned. That's a good point. But I don't. They made him someone going forward, which is wild to me.
How about his grandma? His grandma knew Peter. His grandma knew Toby's Peter. Did you notice that?
Yeah. No. What did she say to him?
I don't remember. I swear, my girlfriend speaks Spanish. We need to watch it again and have her translate. Or if she was even speaking Spanish, she might have been speaking something else. But
I can't remember. Did she just like wave?
Well, there was something when Toby came through. Toby looked at her and gave her a nod, and she gave Toby a nod as well. Like, it was not there'd be no reason for them to look at each other and just, hey, hello. It was something, and you could tell that they had some type of interaction before.
Huh. Well, that's interesting. Do you think it could have been like just more comedic relief?
There was not,
because they weren't speaking Spanish.
In a funny way, though.
They're Filipino, so
it wasn't in a comedic way, though. And the thing about it is, at the beginning of the movie, Ned says to Dr. Strange,
my grandma says there's magic in my family.
Yes. So if Ned has that, I think I don't know, his grandma really stuck out to me in that scene. The way she looked at Toby. Next time you watch it, just look for that little.
Maybe she knows Strange, or maybe she knows a witch in some capacity.
That I just thought it was super weird. It looked like her and Toby were very familiar with who each other are.
Grandma is Agatha.
Mephisto
confirmed. Confirmed.
Yeah, but I thought that was super, super interesting. And I hope we get some answers to those.
I remember seeing her like look at him with like some little smirk on her face, and then like waving at him, and then he was just like, hi. I thought it was more comedic relief.
Really?
Because it was
maybe I'm
just
overthinking.
That, I mean, here's the thing, you might not be, because the smallest details in Marvel go miles.
Right.
But for that specifically, just the way I interpreted it. Thank you. The way I interpreted it, when I saw the film, it was a contrast of her reaction to Andrew's Spider-Man, where she completely flipped out, and that was hilarious.
Huh.
But now they're doing it the other way, where she's more calm because it's a normal dude, not a grown-ass man dressed up like a Spider-Boy.
Yeah.
And so she was just like, oh, hey. And obviously he's a little older than the rest. So she was like, oh, hey.
Like kind of flirting.
Yeah. So I saw it as a contrast of humor, but
dude, that whole scene where they both appear for the first time was hilarious.
Like
between AJ and
she's throwing rolls at him.
She's throwing rolls that crawl around. What do you mean crawl around? Like,
he's like, I do have a sense, just not for bread.
He
says, you're a very mistrusting person. I respect that. And he does the little fingertip thing.
Dude, I don't mean to go back to Doctor Strange, but I had one more thing written down that kind of goes along this possibly being a different Doctor Strange. Obviously, the title of Doctor Strange's episode in What If was, what if Doctor Strange lost his heart instead of his hands? And when Doctor Strange first when Peter first gathers most of the villains, Doctor Strange comes back and he has the box. He's ready to send them away. He's ready to do it. And Peter says, "Come on, Strange, have a heart." And then there was a very like significant pause as Strange was looking at Peter, and it could be nothing. I could be reading into that as well, but it's very interesting wordplay that, you know, we see Doctor Strange become something so abhorrent in What If, and the title is What If He Loses His Heart? And then Peter says to him, "Come on, Strange, have a heart." And just the look he gave, I'm just bringing up all these looks. That
that connects. It does. I like that idea.
I think that was a little weird.
I like
a little strange.
No, again, little details like that go a long way. Like
that's something.
Words are chosen very specifically in dialogue.
That's something that if we didn't catch it now, let's say that we fast forward 3 years, we find out that Strange was a different Doctor Strange in No Way Home. That's where we go back. Look, well, not even that. It's like, yo, look at this head nod. We could have known back then if we,
if we paid attention. Yeah.
We knew all along.
Same, right? Goodness, it's nuts.
Actually, I wanted to talk about one other thing going way back to the beginning.
Let's hear it.
When we were talking about how, like, if Toby and Andrew were not going to be in the movie, if you're, how you were going to react or whatever. And then you said that there was like that 1% that was like, maybe they're not in the film. I saw one of those interviews with Andrew completely took that 1% away. It's when was it Good Morning America? When they were just like, come on, tell us. And he was like, oh, that was good. You're good at your job, but I'm better at mine. Like, he's an actor. Like he's acting when he's
acting when he's asked the questions.
Right. So to me, as soon as I saw that, I was like, yeah, he's in the movie. They're in the movie.
Yeah. No doubt. No question.
Yeah. So that's what gave it away for me.
Yeah. Man, what a movie. Alec, I know that you mentioned the first time you watched it that May's grave says 2020.
I did not look this time. I forgot about that.
I looked, and what I think is typically on graves, doesn't it say the entire year where it shows like 1950 to 2007?
Mm-hmm.
What I noticed is that on the grave, it shows the dash and then it shows a 20 and then the flowers cover the rest. I don't know if the flowers were covering that strategically.
So they didn't have to answer what.
I think it says 20 because it's 2020. I think she died in 2023. But I just forgot to mention that to you. I think it was just the first two numbers of it that we saw.
Isn't it wild that for the past like couple of years we've been talking like how is the MCU going to catch up in the timeline? They're 5 years in the future. Now we're only 1 year behind.
Yeah.
Isn't that wild? Well, if she died in 2023, it's 2022 now.
No, I know.
So by the time like the next couple movies come out, they're going to be pretty much caught up.
There's also still stuff happening in 2021, because WandaVision and those are
2023.
Yeah, those are all 2023.
Those are 2023.
Everything's 2023 now.
Yep, we're almost caught back up.
But the unfortunate part is they're moving forward as well.
Yeah, but like how often movies come out? The next MCU project is Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah.
There's like a couple more this year. So I imagine all of those are going to take place in 2023, and then we'll get to 2023. All of those will happen in 2023 as well, and then they'll be caught back up. Yep.
Oh my god. Man.
And then after 2024 is 2025, and then 2026, 2027.
Wait, let me guess. 2028 comes next,
and then after 28 comes 29. Just so you know.
Oh, thank you. And I don't want to think about 2030 again. Because how old I'm going to be when that I want to.
That's awful to think about. That's terrible to think about.
So I have one final thing on No Way Home, and then we can move over. If you guys have anything, feel free to shoot it out. But this kind of brings up Hawkeye. So we see in the final scene he puts together his new suit, awesome comic accurate suit, and he swings over Rockefeller Center, which is the ice skating rink. I want to know if there's anything related to Hawkeye in that little
scene with the Christmas tree,
because Hawkeye is centered around Christmas. There was a fight, and obviously a fight isn't going on when he swings over, but a fight happens on that ice skating rink. I'm wondering if there's any tiny little thing,
like if there was maybe some like construction signs or like some broken stuff there or something even like that.
I wish I would have listened to it more, but I thought of it as I saw the ice skating rink. I wonder because Peter jumps out the window because he hears the police radio. I wonder if that police radio is saying one of the events that happened in Hawkeye.
It could be.
Maybe it gets mopped up by the time Peter gets there, which is why we don't see Spidey in Hawkeye. But I don't know. I feel like there could be. And the fact that there were not in the original trailer, there were no posters for Rogers the Musical. And then after Hawkeye came out, after Rogers the Musical and the posters came out in Hawkeye, the posters were digitally put into No Way Home. Now that could just be a little link to Hawkeye, but I just, it's just something I wondered. I wonder if there was any little link to Hawkeye at the end there, with it being so close together.
Well, my theory is when he hears the police radar and he goes, he ends up going to something that's across the city.
Yeah.
And while he's across the city, all the shit that goes down at the Rockefeller Center in Hawkeye happens while he's away. So there's no conflicting stories, but
there has to be some.
I'm sure
that makes.
Do you think there's any
sense.
way they could be tying the game universe to Tom's story? Because they've set it up to be like a very similar story, man.
Like he uses the same moves.
It's obviously Kingpin's is set up like.
Kingpin is he in the game again?
He's the main villain of the game.
Maybe I'm blanking on the game. Like, wasn't it?
Well, in the very beginning of the game, like he's one of the first people you.
I didn't finish the DLCs though.
I
remember.
The very beginning of the game was Kingpin.
Yeah, when you're inside a building.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that now.
I'm not going to go as far as to say they're going to do in-game stuff. I think it's just like more of a nod.
Yeah.
A coincidental nod at that, because they brought back Kingpin, they brought back Charlie Cox. And obviously, let's be real, Kingpin ain't dead.
No way.
No
Absolutely
way.
not.
Unless it's just like Star Wars. If you don't see them die with your own eyes,
they're not dead.
Yeah.
Dead, heartbeat gone, head off, something.
Yeah.
They're not gone. So
exactly.
No one's ever really gone.
Boom. So Kingpin is alive. Daredevil will play a role. And I think Spider-Man's next story will be with Daredevil and Kingpin.
I think that's a really, really real possibility. And what I think's good about it is, Fred, like you said, most likely it's just a nod. But I think they've done some things to leave it open if they choose to. Because even going over to the Sony universe, we've been able to see that, Peter's main suit in the Spider-Man video game that has the clear white accents, we can see that in the suit vault in Spider-Man No Way Home, into the Spider-Verse. So, they've left some clues around to where they might be able to do something with it in the future, which, would be cool if they decide to.
Yeah, and I mean, it could be it's a whole other branch of the timeline. You can call it that. Like, honestly, at this point, Marvel is, I'm going to use some language here. Marvel is just skull fucking the shit out of us with information. And I have no fucking clue what's happening anymore, except I love what I see.
Yeah,
that's all.
It's fantastic.
With how many things you're tying in together, and
Ford.
like from the Netflix shows now, and like
I know
the Sony movies. Like when I walked out of No Way Home, I was like, we're gonna see the X-Men 2000s come back. We're getting 3 different versions of Dark Phoenix. We're getting Doctor Doom again. All this, like, all my brain was just exploding.
They're fixing what should have been done right the first time in a
And
lot of these cases. I mean, the X-Men movies were great, like
They
for their time. Like they were phenomenal.
Oh yeah,
The fact that Disney owns Fox now too,
It's huge.
they have the opportunity to bring those in.
At this point, they can do almost anything they want.
I have a question for you guys because I have a very unorthodox answer. Wolverine. Let's say Wolverine comes to the MCU and it's not Hugh Jackman, which I think if they were going to do it, it would be Hugh Jackman.
Kevin Hart.
You're going to say Kevin Hart.
Oh my
Is
gosh.
would you like to lock in that answer? Who would you want to play Logan?
Oh man, that is a good question.
Because let's be real, Hugh Jackman is all of our choice, right?
Oh,
Our first
100%.
choice.
Honestly,
If it can't be him.
you know who would be good? It's the guy who plays Punisher. What's his name?
I've heard the same thing. I've
Really?
heard people say the same
What's
thing.
his name?
Alec, have you
great.
heard people say that, or did you come up with it?
I've heard people say that, but
Okay,
I
come up
also
with-
like the casting.
How about come up with one that something that you've never heard? Like
I got you.
Let's hear it.
Hold on to something. Daniel Radcliffe.
Oh my, Huh.
That actually wouldn't be bad, to be honest. Like
that'd be
as
cool.
long as he could do it, like I'm fine with it.
Here's
Yeah.
my logic, okay? In the comics,
Really
Wolverine
quick.
is,
You guys got to give me 1 second, just because my Mac is about to die, and I did not realize it was that
send
low.
for.
Sorry.
It's good. I can take a little smoke break. Dude. Oh my god, Daniel Radcliffe. I'm telling you. Telling you. I have things in my head. I have to go through. So I have this little ottoman thing that has a lid that comes up. I have so many old comics from when I was a kid. I might have some Spidey comics
All right.
So,
we are-
from like early 2000s, maybe late 90s. I have to take a look.
all right, we're good
I
to
know
go.
there was one silver comic I had where he's like fighting the goblin. I don't know. I got to find it. But okay, so Daniel Radcliffe. Here's my thinking. In the comics, Wolverine. Harry Potter. Wolverine is shorter, right? He's not like this. He's obviously huge, but he's shorter. Daniel Radcliffe is shorter. Also, if you've seen the movie Guns Akimbo, he's got some facial hair, a little bit of muscle, nothing too crazy. If he just gets jacked, he could do it. I actually think physically he would look like Wolverine.
I think that'd be a good
And
one.
he's actually a good actor. I know we all remember him as Harry Potter, but if you watch like all this other stuff he's done, like he's actually a very talented actor. So I think he could pull it off. That's my pick. Daniel Radcliffe. Harry Potter is Wolverine.
No, I like that
it.
a lot. You know, unfortunately, I think I only watch Marvel and Star Wars, so I'm having such a hard time thinking of other people. I'm gonna go with Michael Scott. No, I'm joking.
Michael Scott.
I don't know. I can't really.
I mean, you can always say Keanu, bro. He can do a lot of stuff.
I've seen his
You can
name
plug him
float around a
anywhere.
lot. I've seen him.
I've
float
seen
around
him
a lot.
float
Keanu
around
Reeves
for
will be in
everything.
the MCU at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's already said that he sat down with Kevin Feige and they haven't come up with anything yet.
He will. He's gonna be something.
Oh, he's gonna be.
He's gonna be something, and it's gonna be legendary.
What if it's fucking Doctor Doom?
Could be. You know what's unfortunate is I think somebody who's in the MCU already could make a really good Wolverine, and that's Frank Grillo, who plays Crossbones. I think he has that look where if he was able to grow with like a good beard, I think he could do it really well.
I agree.
I messaged him to be on the podcast.
Really?
Go.
Yeah, has he been on?
I don't think so.
Nope.
Maybe he got back to you at some point.
Nope, I wish. We got to get back to trying to get people on because I want to talk to someone famous again.
I was so scared to talk to Emily Swallow.
I was nervous.
I
Like
was
Y'all
so
did
nervous.
pretty good. Y'all did pretty good. There was
I
a couple.
appreciate it.
There was a couple nervous moments that I saw or heard rather.
Oh
but,
yeah.
but y'all did pretty good.
I was still doubting that it was even a real thing until I saw her name pop up for me to let her in the chat.
You were like, oh my God, she's there. She is. I'm like, oh my God, let her in.
Holy shit, it's real.
Yeah, I mean, I've never talked to anyone famous via internet for content purposes. The only famous people I've talked to has been in person, and it's extremely nerve-wracking, but it's also not as bad, except for when I met Billy D. That was a scary moment. Yeah. I forgot how to speak. I was like,
Lando. All right. So now that we're talking about some Star Wars characters, this episode has run pretty long so far. How about we talk briefly about some Book of Boba? Finally. Oh, dude, I didn't even know
dope.
this. That is really cool.
Yeah, I just bought this.
For anybody listening, Fred has a very, what's the word? It's very
discreet.
Blended hoodie.
Subtle?
Very subtle Boba Fett on
it's
his
got
hoodie.
An outline of Boba on it, but it's the same color as the hoodie.
Yeah, so
that's super cool.
That is cool.
And also,
let's get into some book.
Dope.
There we go. So Book of Boba Fett. We finally see his Sarlacc escape.
Yeah, and it was awesome. It was awesome.
I saw a TikTok. Fred, have you seen Parks and Recreation?
Of course.
Okay, you know the scene where they're in I sent it to you. They said it in the town hall, and I forget the actor's name. He's in a lot of things. Yes. And he's like, in the Dune Sea on the planet of Tatooine, we see a single fist emerge from the sand of the Sarlacc pit.
The gauntlet of Boba Fett.
It was word for word exactly the same. If you start them at the same time, it's hilarious. I'm so glad we got it that way.
Yeah.
Oh, me too, dude. It was for me. I do want to talk about this in a minute. A lot of people are saying a lot of dumb shit about the episode, but
I haven't seen a lot.
I've seen some.
Really?
It's weird, right? It's weird.
About what? We'll get into that.
We'll get into it.
Yeah.
So I thought overall the whole episode is great, but specifically that beginning, it was like it came right out of like fan art. Like you can see they took inspiration from fan art and the Patton Oswalt filibuster, right? And all of that. Like they took so much inspiration from decades of the community wanting Boba back, and they were like, okay, y'all want it like this? Here it is. And I love that.
Yes, dude, I said that last week, that his escape is when you think of Boba escaping from the Sarlacc, there's a couple like iconic fan art pieces that come to mind, and literally those are what they showed, which
it's the one where he's like holding the knife.
Yes, and he's like straight on, and he's just wrapped in the tentacles. It's like the first time you see him. I thought that was really cool.
Oh man, it was awesome. They did such a good job with that.
Yeah. So what is some of this stuff that you guys are seeing? Because I don't scroll a lot through Twitter, so I haven't seen ton. I know it was a slow episode towards the end.
So what I saw, if people like have been complaining about just, obviously Star Wars in general, but like they're saying like, in like Mando, there wasn't enough focus on like the individual character. We wanted more.
Or of Mando,
just in general, like the focus on characters. There's too much action. Let's get more time spent on like growing the character. And now this episode comes out, and it was nothing but character development the whole time. It just focused on him and telling his story. And people were pissed. Oh, it was slow. Nothing happened. I'm like, pick what you want, bro. Like,
people are all you can't please everybody.
No.
The thing that got me, like, this sent me like. It got me so mad where I started laughing like the fucking Joker. Like, so the Hollywood Reporter puts out their review, and they're like, yeah, the episode wasn't that great. It felt more like a chapter in a book rather than an episode of a great story. I'm like,
it's literally called a chapter.
The Book of Boba Fett, and it's called Chapter 1. What the fuck? Did we watch the same thing? Hello? Like,
oh my god!
I was like, how are y'all making money off of
it's
this
literally called The Book of Boba Fett.
It's a literal book with the Chapter 1. We've been doing this chapter thing for 2 years now. What do you think? What do you think of it's the first episode?
What's get happening? these big writers that critique film and television, and they plop them in the Star Wars galaxy, and they look at how it's made, what cinematographically, what I just made up another word, but like cinematically, they look at so many different factors, but they don't look at the story as a whole as a Star Wars fan. You know, they pretend like they know Star Wars because they looked up Boba Fett on Wikipedia and know a little about his backstory, and now they can write about him. I read something the other day, I think it was today actually, and it was along those lines, but it was about some. This is kind of a pointless story because I don't remember the article, I don't remember the movie, but it gave me those same feelings where I was like, you sound like a moron, and you can tell that you are not a fan. You're just a guy writing who thinks he's super smart, and it just grinds my gears.
It's so stupid.
It really grinds my gears.
People
grinds my gears.
I think the biggest issue just with people that start consuming Star Wars in general is you watch something, and if it lives up to your expectations, you know, you talk about it, you love it, it's great. If you don't like something, you still talk about it, but you talk about how shitty it is and it goes everywhere. And that gets a lot more traction than if someone loved something, which is just unfortunate with our time. Like, that's what the news, when you put the news on, why do you think everyone watches the news? They don't watch it because they're saying, oh, look, today a rainbow came out of the sky and leprechauns found their pots of gold. And like, it's 90% bad shit because for whatever reason, humans are appealed to articles and news about negativity. If people in Star Wars or people that are consuming Star Wars have, let's say they watch Boba and they didn't like the first episode. All you got to say is, I didn't like the first episode yet, but it's the first chapter of this book. So my opinion of the story will be made once the story is complete, right? Because doesn't that make the most sense?
Yeah.
Like, and here's the thing, if you can't get into it, you can't get into it. That's fine. But leave it there. Let all of us who love it.
Exactly. And that's what nerds cannot do. They have to bicker. They have to tell you their opinion. And, you know, we've said it a lot on this podcast that, you know, the negative voices are the loudest ones. And it's just unfortunate, you know, but that's where it takes people like us that just ignore it and keep posting positive stuff. And, you know, hopefully that'll blow up one day.
Yeah. And honestly, I've come to the point over the last, I've been doing this now for 2.5 years. I've come to the point where if I put something out and you don't like it, I don't give a shit.
Yeah,
it's not.
You don't have to like it.
It's not for you to like then. It's for other people to like. So if you didn't like it, that's fine. Whatever. Like, my opinion is my opinion. I'm always going to be true to my opinion. And just to put a bow on this, it's my opinion that the first episode of the Book of Boba Fett was good. And I enjoyed it.
Same.
I would agree with that opinion.
I thought it was a great entry episode because they didn't do too much, but they gave you just enough to reel you in.
Do we know how many episodes it's going to be?
I believe it's
7.
8.
Oh, 8.
The 8.
I believe it's.
I haven't been able to find it anywhere.
I've seen 8 and I've seen 9. It's one of the two. I don't think it's 7.
I'm honestly fine with 8 or 9. Like, I just don't want it to become another. I don't want things to ever kind of end up like Bad Batch, and it just dragged, bro. That show dragged.
The problem with Bad Batch, to me, I enjoyed it. I mean, I love Clone Wars so much, so it followed that format, which I'm used to. But for a more general viewer, it's hard to get into 16 to 25 episodes.
Right.
That are shorter because they have to tell the story in a shorter time. And it is, admittedly, it is harder to pull you in.
I mean, that's what Clone Wars does.
Right. But, on the flip side, people either absolutely love Clone Wars or they're just like, not for me. But Clone Wars right now has the advantage of the entire story being there. So as you're watching it, you're like, oh, I understand why this was shown.
Well, think about when Clone Wars blew up is when season 7 was announced.
Yeah, it was before season 7. The Clone Wars community, we were very small. It was a very small community. I mean, people always talk about it, but they talk about, oh, you remember when Darth Maul came back? That was rad as shit, wasn't it? But there's so many more layers to the Clone Wars and what makes it
ogre.
so great. Yes. So
That'll do, Donkey.
I'm not about to start quoting Shrek. I want to so bad.
We don't have time.
I know. But, overall with Bad Batch, give it another like 2 seasons. You go back and watch the first season, you're going to be like, oh, I remember when I saw this for the first time, and now I understand why they did what they did, why they set up certain aspects of the show. It's all about the longevity of the show. What happens in the beginning, the middle, the end, and all of the parts that interweave them together. That's what tells the whole story. So for me, I'm not mad if people didn't necessarily enjoy the Bad Batch season 1. It's the first season. If you don't like the entire series after you've watched it, then okay, you didn't like it and it's not for you, and that's totally fine. I always just tell people, if you didn't like it, you can say it, but hold your definitive opinion until you actually see where the story's going, because this is just the first chapter of the book.
True.
Very
true.
It's a great take.
Thanks. Wise words, I guess.
So we got Max
Wise
Rebo.
words from Fred the Jedi.
Thanks.
So we got Max Rebo back.
That was really cool.
Yeah, he was jizz wailing and everything, dude. It was great.
Yeah. That was it was cool to just see another I wouldn't call him iconic because a non-Star Wars fan wouldn't know him, but
just a nice little flashback.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
And we saw some of the members of the Cantina band in there.
Yeah,
cool.
I saw Figure and Dan.
Yeah.
Or at least I hope it's Figure and Dan.
I thought it was him.
For me, I'm not going to be the first person to say this because I've seen this across the internet, but I do hope it was like, okay, you're going to take Max Rebo from the Max Rebo band and Figure and Dan from Figure and Dan and the Modal Nodes, and you put them together, and now you just have these 2 Tatooine music icons playing together at some random cantina owned by Garza Fwip. I love it. I don't know. It makes my heart happy.
That was a lot of letters in that sentence.
I know. It was a mouthful for me to
Garmin
say.
Arnar, Flippy Flop Floop, like just like
Fart
random Fart Mine Harp. Yeah.
That's the thing. I might not be able to tell you like simple life stuff, but I can tell you all about Figure and Dan and the Modal Nodes.
True. That's the important info.
It's the important info to me.
Exactly. So, are there any other just overall thoughts of Book of Boba before we wrap it up?
I think I would like to hear this from you guys. Do you think there are going to be any major characters popping up in the series?
Yeah, I think we I saw your. Well, quick question. When's that video of yours coming out that you showed us the thumbnail for?
Tomorrow.
Okay, so this will come out tomorrow as well. So I saw the thumbnail on yours. I haven't seen any news of that character, of Han. Yeah. But, mine...
I did see this.
They're kind of like cliches, but I would think that they'd be bounty hunters like Cad Bane. I'd hope to see Bosk. Those are the 2 that come to my mind. Alec had some wild ones when we spoke.
I mean, the ones I had heard, like, I don't know if I believe them, are obviously like a Mace Windu, Han, Luke.
I hadn't heard Han yet.
Really?
Well, I hadn't heard anything like,
dude, they're talking about literally Harrison Ford being in the show. Like,
no, really? I cannot see that happening.
That's what
I can't
my
either.
video is on.
Really?
So we can talk about it because now the video is out. So if you guys want to go see it, youtube.com/Fred The Jedi. But anyway, long story short, people
our 12 viewers might go over to your channel. The 12 views of this video.
Hey, I'm confident in this one. We're gonna have a solid 20 here.
Cut that out. So, rumor has it that Han Solo, Harrison Ford, has been spotted in London to film something over the course of 3 days for the Book of Boba Fett, for the final episode of the season. Because rumor also has it that there are 2 seasons at least, of the Book of Boba Fett. It's not going to be just a one and done.
Hmm.
So that is a big rumor that's going on now. They're saying he took a 3-day break from filming Indiana Jones 5 to go film Book of Boba stuff, which I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense, but I also don't see Boba as like this rageful bounty hunter guy who would like hold some huge vendetta over Han Solo. You know what I mean?
They're going to have to de-age him pretty well.
Right. And so that's another thing that I also am talking about. If you think about how they did Luke, right? They brought Mark Hamill in.
Mm-hmm.
He acted all of the scenes. And then they had Max Lloyd Jones act all of the scenes. And they basically took Max Lloyd Jones looks exactly like Mark Hamill. So they just overlaid the faces. They did the de-aging thing, the whole 9, and boom, young Luke was made.
Yeah.
And I think they can do the same thing for Harrison Ford.
Oh, yeah.
And if it was me, I probably just would have called it Alden Ehrenreich, since fans would recognize that face. But now they're saying Harrison Ford is in it. So that leads me to believe they found another Max Lloyd Jones, but for Harrison Ford. You know, the same physical traits.
There has to be someone out there that looks like Harrison Ford.
My script literally says those exact words. There has to be someone out there that looks like Harrison Ford.
There has to be one person in the world.
There has to be. So
I think
there has to be.
I had to be the one to say it as well.
I had to do it again. So I think that's the way they would go about it, is to make it that way.
What would you see him like what reason would Han have to go back to Tatooine or anything? Just
he's
anything
a smuggler.
at all?
Remember when him and Leia have their
when they split
issues, they split up. And I know that's not technically in line yet, but Harrison Ford or Han Solo, I get them so confused, man. So Han Solo is still at his core is a smuggler, and I would assume that maybe he, goes to Tatooine to look for some work and finds out that Boba Fett's the new crime lord. And I think that could be something interesting to see, or maybe like you just see like Han like leaving in the Falcon or something. Like there doesn't even have to be an interaction. It could be something super small. That's what I heard for Han. I will tell you, I want to see Kira. My theory.
I want to read the Bounty Hunter comic line.
The War of the Bounty Hunter?
Yes. I need to read that.
I want to see Kira, though I think it's a long shot. I do want to see Kira.
Well, if we could see Kira, there might be a possibility of seeing Maul. No. That retract.
So I'm going to give you a little exclusive.
Let's hear it.
I have heard, if you don't want spoilers for the Book of Boba, when I do this, unmute, but for now, mute. Some credible people have told me Cad Bane will be in the series.
Yeah, I kind of figured that one.
But there's more. Those same credible people told me that the legend Corey Burton, who voiced Cad Bane in the Clone Wars, is also voicing him for the Book of Boba Fett. Different actor physically, but that's what I've heard.
Well, that'd be how they did Maul and Solo. How
something
they used
like
someone.
That's
else
how they did
voice.
Zac Efron in High School Musical.
What?
I'm just kidding. Where someone sang over his voice.
Oh my gosh! Did someone sing over his voice?
Yes.
I didn't know that. I thought he was just a really good, talented singer. You think they would have picked someone that could sing and dance?
I don't know what's funnier, you coming to the realization that Zac Efron didn't sing that, or you thinking that Zac Efron's voice matched his body and was really a really solid performance.
Well, I was also 12.
I don't know what's happening here.
And I was too focused on Ashley Tisdale and Vanessa Hudgens.
I can understand that.
I get that.
I love Vanessa Hudgens. Oh my God.
Relatable.
But anyway, that is something I've heard. So I when I heard this
Be cool.
again, I can't say that it's definitively happening. Oh, by the way, yeah, hands up,
Yeah.
unmute now. I can't say it's definitively happening, but I'm hoping that character is actually the mayor that's giving Boba a hard time.
Huh. That'd be interesting.
Oh,
Because originally I was like in my head,
because it's got to be
the
someone who's
mayor-
kind of on the bad side. Like obviously they're giving him trouble.
so I was thinking it's Kira. But then when Boba says, tell him I'm the crime lord now, the dude is like, yeah, he knows. So it's a dude. That's the mayor. And so that's why I think it's that character.
And you when would be expecting to see that?
That I do not
knows?
know.
Hmm.
I do
Tomorrow.
not know. That would be
It
awesome.
could be.
It could be.
I feel like they're
would
going to build him up
expect
a
it-
little bit.
I
This
would
is gonna
expect
be
it
like-
to be later.
It's going to be like the power broker in Falcon Winter Soldier.
Yep, same thing.
I think it'll be a little bit sooner than that. I think maybe, the Falcon and Winter Soldier was 6 episodes. Let's say this is going to be 8. I'd say by 5 or 6. We'll have
It'd be dope.
maybe like at the end of 5, it's a tease. Maybe like the hat.
That'd be cool.
And then
That
Or
would be
Or
cool.
Toto. Wait, is Toto? Did he die again?
I don't know.
Not again, but I can't
I
remember.
don't think so.
In the Bad Batch?
I don't think so. I think he's alive.
Yeah, I'm pretty.
Um,
Dude, you know what sucks going off of Cad Bane? So I have the pop from the Clone Wars, which is awesome.
me too. It's up there.
I didn't get the pop of Cad Bane from
From Bad Batch
from Bad Batch, just
with
because
Toto.
I didn't like the way he was designed. I didn't like his hat. I didn't like the pop, but I like the fact that it has Toto on it.
I did too.
Well, I wasn't going to buy it because I was like, I have the Clone Wars one. It's perfect the way it is. And then I was in Target and they
And
had
it was
one
sitting
in
right
perfect
there.
condition. There was only
Yep.
one left. And I said, oh, I guess I do own this now. So then
Yeah.
I bought it. So that
That's
one
how
is
it
in my
goes.
Bad Batch
Nice.
section over here. And then I have Cad Bane's pop up here somewhere. I don't know. Probably not on camera, but
Good deal.
yeah. I actually gotta go.
It's gonna be nuts. Yeah. I
Yes,
think
yeah,
it's about
same.
time to wrap
Yeah.
this up. So everybody joining us, we can't thank you enough for listening to this episode. It was an awesome chat. I know if you're a Star Wars fan, we made you wait a long time for it, but everybody loves Spidey. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Fred, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you at?
You can find me mainly on YouTube at youtube.com/Fred The Jedi. You can find me on Twitter at Fred The Jedi. You can find me on Instagram at Fred The Jedi, but with 2 eyes. I also just started a TikTok again at Fred The Jedi.
Is it a new one?
Yeah, I made a new one.
Cool.
Because
Awesome.
you know how TikTok is with old accounts that you haven't posted on.
I get it.
I just made a new one. And I'm doing right now, it's going on TikTok and on YouTube Shorts. I'm doing one short video on one item in this giant collection I have every day for the whole year.
Nice.
Heck yeah. We actually
So-
just started posting on Carbonite Collecting on TikTok too. So we were going on the collection route as well moving forward. So
Perfect.
dude, I'm super excited to see your collection more in depth. And we can't thank you enough for coming on, man. I know it was pretty last minute, but I think this was a cool convo, cool hangout sesh.
Oh yeah, this is great, man. If
Definitely.
it wasn't for me always, working at this time, I would do it more.
Yeah,
But
for sure. We'd have you on more.
I'm glad I was able to, not go in today and have this chat with you guys.
Definitely. Well, again, we can't thank you guys enough. You can check us out literally everywhere at Carbonite Convos, and you can follow me personally on Instagram and Twitter at FunkoStud and Alec at Wallcrawler Pops. And don't forget to check out our new branch of Carbonite Convos, which is Fandom Facts, which you can find on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. So definitely go check all the handles we just threw at you, all 30 of them. And until next time, may the Force be with you.
Remember, the Force will be with you.